Okay, picture this. It's 2 in the morning. You are just refreshing your email again and again. Your eyes are burning.
We've all been there.
And then, boom, there it is. The subject line you've been dreaming of, offer of admission. You got in, you're going to study in Canada.
That's the moment, the absolute high.
And you're just picturing it all, right? The campus, the snow, probably mostly the snow.
It is euphoric, but it's also, the exact moment the real work starts. Because getting the university to say yes, well, that's the easy part.
Right. Now you have to get the government to say yes.
Right.
And from everything I see online, I mean, the study permit application is where that dream hits a total brick wall.
It's the #1 reason for refusal.
Really. Number one.
Oh, yeah. You can have a perfect GPA, a glowing acceptance letter. But if your bank account doesn't tell the story they want to hear, the answer is just no. A hard no.
That is genuinely terrifying. And looking at our source for today, the official Government of Canada guide on proof of financial support, it feels like they want a forensic audit of your life.
It can feel that way. But our goal today is to demystify it. We're looking at the rules as they stand right now, January 31st, 2026.
And that's critical, right?
Yeah.
Because these rules changed.
Massively. In late 2025. If you're using a blog post from a couple of years ago, you're basically walking into a trap.
So our mission today, decode this thing, figure out the exact number, but maybe more importantly, the strategy behind proving you have it. It's not just about being rich, it's about, so it's the word they use, solvency.
That is the key word, solvency. It's different from just having money.
Before we get into the scary math, and there is some scary math, what's the logic here? Why are they so aggressive about this?
It feels like gatekeeping, I get it. But it's really about risk management. Think about it. When you land in Canada, you have no credit history there, maybe no family.
You're completely on your own.
Exactly. And if you run out of cash in month 2, you become incredibly vulnerable. You might end up working illegally, dropping out. They're trying to prevent that.
So it's a stress test.
It's a stress test. They want to know you can focus on being a student, not on, just surviving.
Which brings us to the big paradox in the guide. The without working rule. It says you have to prove you can pay for everything without working in Canada. But come on, every international student works. The permit allows it, right? 20 hours a week.
It usually does. And you know that, I know that, and the visa officer absolutely knows that. But for the purpose of the application, that future income is imaginary.
So I can't say, look, I've got 10 grand in the bank and I'll make the rest working at Tim Hortons.
Absolutely not. That's an automatic rejection.
Why?
The logic is, what if you get sick? Or what if you just can't find a job? The government needs to see that you are solvent based on what you have right now.
Yeah.
The job is a bonus. It can't be the cake.
Okay, that's a crucial distinction. We're building a financial case that stands on its own. So the guide breaks this down into three buckets of cost.
Right. Bucket 1, tuition. Easy enough. Bucket 2, transportation.
Your flights.
Exactly. And bucket 3, the big one, the one that changed, is living expenses.
Let's start there. Because tuition, that's on your acceptance letter.
Yeah.
But living expenses feel so subjective. I mean, my college roommate lived on ramen noodles. Can't I just say I'm really frugal?
You can't. The Canadian government does not accept ramen and hope as a financial plan. They have a hard, specific number.
And this is what changed back in September 2025.
This is what really hit hard.
Okay, so let's get to it. Today is January 2026. I'm a single student applying. What's the magic number I need to show just for living expenses?
You need to show $22,895.
22.
Wow.
$22,895. And let me just be crystal clear, that's on top of tuition.
Yes. In addition to your first year of tuition and your flight costs, that 22 grand is just for rent, food, books, a winter coat, life.
That is a huge jump. I remember looking at this years ago and it was what, like $10,000?
It was $10,000 for a very, very long time. Then it jumped to around $20,635. And now, it's almost $23,000.
Why such a big increase? Just inflation.
It's more of a correction. For years, that $10,000 number was just way too low. Students were showing up in Toronto or Vancouver and realizing that barely covered 5 months of rent.
They were walking right into a housing crisis.
Immediately. So this new number is the government trying to reflect the actual cost of living. It's painful to prove, for sure, but it's more honest about the reality.
So it prevents you from arriving and realizing you're already broke. Now, what if you're not going alone? What if I'm bringing my spouse?
The number scales up. For 2 people, the living expense requirement is $28,502.
So an extra What, 5 or 6,000? That actually seems kind of low for a whole other person for a year.
Well, it assumes you're sharing housing, utilities, that kind of thing, but then you add a third person, maybe a child, and it goes up to $35,040.
And it keeps climbing from there. The guide has numbers for a family of 7.
It does. A family of 7 needs to show over $60,000, and that's just for living expenses, plus tuition, plus 7 plane tickets.
At that point, the officer has to be questioning the whole plan.
Oh, absolutely. Even if you technically meet the number, they might still reject it if it doesn't seem reasonable or sustainable.
Okay, but there is one giant exception to all these numbers. The Quebec asterisk, as I call it.
Yes, very important. If your acceptance letter is from a university in Quebec, McGill, Concordia, anywhere there, you can basically ignore what we just said about the $22,895.
They have their own system?
Completely. You have to get a CAQ, a Certificat Acceptation du Québec, and they have their own financial thresholds. So if you're going to Montreal, check the Quebec-specific guide. Do not use the federal numbers.
Got it. So let's build the equation for a student outside Quebec. Let's say tuition is $25,000. Living expenses are roughly $23,000. Travel, maybe $2,000. We're looking at a $50,000 hurdle for year 1.
Correct. That's what you have to show.
And this is where the strategy comes in. The guide makes this really interesting distinction between showing and telling. Can you unpack that a bit?
This is the part so many applicants miss. For your first year, you need to show them the money. Hard proof, liquid cash, ready to go.
Okay.
But for the years after that, year 2, 3, 4, you don't need all that cash sitting in the bank today. For those years, you need to tell them a credible plan.
So I don't need $200,000 cash to start a 4-year degree.
No, of course not. That would be impossible for almost everyone. But you do need a good story for how years 2 through 4 will be funded. Is it your parents' income? An investment that will mature? You need a narrative.
Let's focus on that first-year proof, because that's what gets you the visa. The document checklist is like a menu of options. What's the absolute gold standard?
A Canadian bank account
Yeah.
with the money already transferred into it.
Wow. Transferring 50 grand before you even get the visa. That feels risky.
It's a bit of a leap of faith, yes. But think about it from the officer's side. Their biggest worry is that your money is fake, or that it's stuck in a country with currency controls. If it's already sitting in an RBC account in Toronto, well, those fears just vanish.
But most people can't just fly over to open an account.
You don't have to. And that's where the GIC comes in, the Guaranteed Investment Certificate.
The GIC, I see this mentioned everywhere online. How does it actually work?
You wire that living expense money, the $23,000 or so, to a participating Canadian bank from your home country.
Okay.
They put it in a special account. When you arrive in Canada, they give you a lump sum for setup costs, and then they release the rest to you in monthly payments over the next year.
So it's like you're buying yourself an allowance.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
And the government loves it because it proves you won't spend your whole year's budget in the first week. It guarantees you're covered month by month.
So that's a very strong signal.
Very strong. For some application streams, it's actually mandatory.
Okay, so GIC is great, but most people still use the classic bank statement, and the guide is really specific. They want to see the past 4 months. Why 4 months?
It's to catch something called funds parking.
Funds parking. That sounds shady.
It is. The scenario is this. You don't have the money. Your rich uncle wires you $50,000 on Monday. You print your statement Tuesday, apply for the visa, and then on Wednesday, you wire the money right back to your uncle.
Snapshot trick.
Exactly. The 4-month history lets the officer see the flow of money. If your balance was, $500 for 3 months and then suddenly spikes to $50,000, that's a huge red flag. They'll assume it's not really your money.
But what if it is my money? What if I sold a car? Or my parents sold some land to pay for my tuition? That would look like a sudden spike.
And that's totally fine, but you have to connect the dots for them. You can't just submit the statement and hope they figure it out. You have to include the bill of sale for the car or the property transfer deed.
You have to prove the source of the funds.
You have to tell the story of the money. Never make the officer guess. Because if they have to guess, they usually guess fraud.
Okay, let's talk about the big mom and dad. The guide says you can use a letter from the person providing you with money. Is a simple letter enough?
No. A letter on its own is basically worthless. A guide is very clear. That letter has to be backed up by proof that your sponsor actually has money.
So you're basically auditing your own parents.
You are. And the officer is looking at your sponsor's overall financial health. Let's say your father writes a letter pledging $30,000, but his own bank statement shows he only has $32,000 in savings total.
And he's got a mortgage, other kids?
The officer will say no. They'll say it's not credible that this person would give up 95% of their life savings for one child's education. The sponsorship has to make sense for the sponsor, too.
That's a tough pill to swallow. It's not just, is the money there? It's, is it actually disposable?
Precisely. They need to see that your sponsor can do this without destroying their own financial stability.
The source also mentions something about foreign exchange controls. This seems niche, but I bet it's a huge trap.
It's a major trap. For applicants from certain countries, having the money in your local bank account isn't enough. The government might have strict limits on how much currency you can send abroad.
So I could be a millionaire in my home currency, but if the law only lets me transfer $500 a month...
Then for the purposes of studying in Canada, you're insolvent. You need to show that you have the special permits or a clearance to actually move those funds. Or, even better,
use a GIC and move the money beforehand.
Exactly. Remove the doubt. The officer doesn't want to research your country's banking laws. You have to do that work for them.
The guide has this little line that says, it's not a complete list. That feels dangerously vague.
I see it as an opportunity. I mean, the officer has some discretion. For example, a student loan approval letter. That's great proof. A scholarship letter. That absolutely counts.
What about stocks? Can I show my investment portfolio?
You can, but you have to be careful. Stocks are volatile. They aren't liquid until they're sold. So you'd want to show a value that's a bit higher than the requirement to create a buffer, but real estate. That's the tricky one.
Right. I own a house, so I'm good.
You can't pay your tuition with a brick. Officers really dislike seeing property as the main proof because it's so illiquid. It can take months, even years, to sell a house.
And so it's no good for the year one cash requirement.
Almost useless, unless you have a secured line of credit against it. The key takeaway is liquidity is king.
One last detail. The guide mentions checking the visa office instructions, so the rules can change depending on where you apply from.
The amount of money is the same globally, but the format can change. The visa office in New Delhi might want a specific summary table that the office in Nairobi doesn't ask for. Always check the local instructions for your region.
Okay, let's tie this all together. Someone is listening right now, staring at a pile of documents. They have their bank statements, their dad's statements, a loan letter. How do they package this?
You have to think of it like a business proposal. You are the business. The Canadian government is the investor. You need a cover letter, a letter of explanation that acts as your executive summary.
Don't just dump the files and hope for the best.
Never. Write it out for them. The total amount required is $50,000. Here is how I am meeting it. $20,000 for my GIC, see document A, $10,000 from my scholarship, see document B. Do the math for them.
Make it so easy they can't possibly get confused.
Make it so saying yes is easier than saying no. If they have to pull out a calculator, you're in trouble.
And what about that telling part? The plan for year 2 and beyond?
That's your closing argument. After you prove the cash for year 1, you add a paragraph. For subsequent years, my funding will come from my parents' stable employment. Please see their employment letters. It shows you're thinking long term.
It shows you're serious.
It shows intent. And that's everything in these applications.
It really reframes the whole thing from just, checking boxes to building a persuasive argument.
That's exactly what it is. It's a persuasive essay about your financial stability.
Well, for anyone listening who's looking at that $22,895 number and maybe hyperventilating a little bit, take a breath. It's a high bar, but it is a clear bar.
The rules are strict, but they aren't secret. If you have the funds and you present them clearly, the system is designed to work.
Just maybe don't mention the ramen noodle budget.
Please don't. Canada's expensive.
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've talked a lot today about meeting the minimum requirements. But in immigration, hitting the bare minimum is, well, it's not a great place to be.
It's a risky place to be.
Exactly. If the requirement is $22,895 and you show exactly $22,896, you've passed, technically.
Yeah.
But you also look like you're on the edge. If you can show a buffer, a cushion, it just changes the whole psychology for the officer.
It moves you from, will this person survive, to this person is prepared.
The buffer is the best investment you can make in the application itself. It's confidence money.
I like that. Confidence money.
On that note, good luck with the spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Get those GICs sorted. Thank your sponsors, and hopefully we'll see you in the snow.
Good luck.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.